All right, the fun stuff. So let's say you've got all of your wheel sub-assemblies in here and your driver gear assemblies. Let's get this thing moving, okay? So I'll show you a little bit what that looks like and then how to make this happen. So I have essentially done a motion link with almost everything connecting back to the right drive gear. So I'm going to go to right drive gear, right click on it, and do animate model and watch this happen. All right, so as you can see, both driver gears, when I click that animate model, start spinning, well, from this angle, looking at, it is the right, yeah, driver gear. It's counterclockwise, or sorry, clockwise, which means that the gears that are in the chain with them, or gear train, are going counterclockwise on this side, moving forward, okay? Remember, the driver gear is always going to go the opposite direction of whatever gears are connected directly to it. So yeah, this is exactly what we want. We want all these wheels going forward, and of course those middle driver wheels gears going backwards. Let me say I'm gonna hit the escape key to stop the animation. All right, that is kind of tricky to get it set up. I actually spent like an hour getting that set up the other day. Probably could have done a little quicker, and with what I'm going to show you, hopefully it goes quicker for you. And then my colleague was like, hey, why don't you try doing this also? And I threw that in, and you know what? It broke everything. Just broke everything. I couldn't even like go back and delete it and make the thing work again. So I literally had to open a prior saved version of it, kill the most recent version, like delete it entirely, and then work up again to get it to work. But this is what you do to make that happen. So I've got, in this just example assembly, I've got a driver gear and I've got a driven gear here with this. What you'll do is you go to Assemble, Motion Link, all right, and it needs you to pick the joints that you want to be linked together, okay? And the trick I've found that has helped me is I want my driver gear basically to be the second one that I choose, okay? So if I hover over these, if I forgot what they were, you'll see in the other one I actually named all of those Revolute joints according to what part of the Clawbot it is. But on here, I can just hover till I see, okay, that's the first one I want to select, and I have to go back and pick this now. All right, so I want this one, and the other one I want to select is this, okay? Oh, I already created one, so let's hang on a sec. Let me delete this, and we'll do this over. So I go Assemble, Motion Link, and we want this to be joined with this. All right, and as you can see, it started by having them both go backwards. This is impossible, right? Those gear teeth would be shearing off if this is actually what was happening, because that's not how teeth work on gears, all right? But the program doesn't understand that, so you actually have to go in and you'll have to play with this a little bit, all right? But in this case, what I want to try first is, let me hit a negative here. Although actually that's going the wrong way. So let me hit the negative on this guy, okay? See if that fixes it. That fixed it. That's all it took, okay? Sometimes these things don't actually work the way that would make sense to most people. When you put negative signs, it'll do something weird, or if you do the reverse, it does something weird, but this is what we want, so I'd click OK. All right, and then I'll just create my other links going around the Clawbot.